Okay. Now we'll talk about the arrays. So what is an array means? Array is nothing but it's a collection of values, or what we call it is a set of values. We call them set of values, or we can also call them a set of elements. Now, whenever I want to store more than one value, I want to store. Okay, then we are going to use what you call arrays. We are going to use it. So what is the need for the array? What is the need for the array means? For example, let us say I want to store a value. Store a value. What we do? We declare a variable. Example, you write like this. Example, okay, let's say that you want to store a value. What I do is I'll be specific to this. I want to store the marks in one subject I want to store. So then what I do? I'll declare a variable like int m1, one variable. Now let us say you want to store the two values you want to store. Then for two values or two marks you want to store, what is the best solution for me? So the same method what I am following it, then I'll be using int m1 comma int m2 like this. So whereas if I want to store the marks in 6 subjects now, okay, 6 subject marks I want to have, then so what we can do, we can write m1 this method, m2, okay, m3, m4, m5, m6. 3 subjects you can, I mean 6 subjects I can have like. But this method is going to be tedious method for me. If I want to have the, let us say, more number of subjects are going to be there, then what will happen? It is going to be difficult for me to write the coding and all that. Then what I do is, instead of this one, so we have the alternate is, okay. So we have the alternate or the best method it is actually. This is the best method, best way of doing things. What you can do, you can have an array can be taken. You can take the array. So how many values I want to have it? I want to have 6 values I want to have. It's equal to new int of 6 I'll be writing it. So this will help me to define a single variable. I'll be defining it. And inside one variable, I can store 6 values into that. So earlier case, what we did here. So we are going to define 6 variables we are defined here. 6 variables I'm defining it. So instead of defining 6 variables, what you can do is you can define one variable, you can define it. And that one variable, you can use it for storing the 6 values, you can do it. That is what the advantage of having the array there for us. So arrays will help me to store set of values that will be helping me to store under one variable name. So this will be easy for me to write the coding and all. We'll take for example and we'll discuss that, how it's going to be easy for us. Okay. So understood. Now how I'm going to declare the array is, we are going to use the data types and all that. Okay. And then you're going to define the length. So how many values that you're going to store into your array, you're going to define that. Okay. Now let us say that you don't want integer array, you don't want it. You want to have character array. You can also have the character array. Any data type that you talk about, you can have the arrays can be defined there. Right? Okay. So if I want to have the initialization of the arrays, so initialization means you are going to place the values at the place of declaration. I want to have the values to be placed. You can use this method can be used for initialization. Remember when you're going to do the initialization, so automatically the value, the length of the array is defined by the compiler itself. That is my JVM itself will declare the length of my array. So what is the length of my array? So how many values you're going to store based upon the number of values that you're going to initialize. Based on that, what happens? It is automatically going to define the length of my array. No, okay. The important thing one has to remember here is, now arrays are objects. Arrays are objects in our Java. Arrays are objects in Java. So when you say the objects means, remember the objects will have some properties and methods and everything will be there. Okay. Objects have properties and some methods will be there. They'll have object properties and methods. But for my array, so we have one property called length. So length is one property, so which is predefined for my arrays. Now, what is this length property mean? This property returns the length of my array. Length of the array it is going to tell us. So how many values are there in your array? You can find out the length by using the length property. You can use it, right? So we'll take one example. We'll see how we can. Okay, we can take the example for accessing the arrays. So how I'm going to use my arrays and all. We'll take one example. So before I'll just start my Eclipse first. So let the Eclipse start for me. Okay. So I told you that. So what we are doing is we are going to use the whenever you want to have set of values to be stored, that is more than one value to be stored, you can make the what you call arrays can be made use of it. Okay. So arrays will help me to store a set of values. That is more than one value. If I want to store it in one variable name, I'm going to use arrays. Now remember, so when I'm having the values to be stored, so how to store the values for me in my arrays? So when I want to store the values, we use the index position. We use the index. Okay, we have to use the index position has to be used. So that means what? Now you'll be using like if you're going to take the array called A there, so you'll be writing A of 0 like this. So this A of 0, what you're writing, no, that is called the index. Right? So this 0, so here 0 is called the it's called the index position. So this is the index position. That means I'm going to tell, so where I'm going to store my value. Okay, I'm going to tell where, I mean, we said what it's a collection, it's a set of values. So I'm going to put A of 0 means I'll store the first value, A of 1, second value like that. Then, so when I talk about the index positions, now starting index is going to be 0 for me. And what is my max index? The max index is going to be length of the array minus 1. So the max index is length of my length of the array minus 1 it's going to be. So for example, here if I'm going to have the 10 values I'm going to store into it, okay, then maximum index is, so what is the maximum index for me? Here it is 9. Okay, so let us take this. So if I'm going to have this one, so if I'm going to have, this is my array, then here my max length is 9 here. Now here in this case, the max length is, what is my maximum index position? 5 it is. Length of the array minus 1. So how many values you are storing in the array? Minus 1 you are going to use that. Okay. So I'll just get back to my Eclipse. So, okay. Right. So I want to have the array to be declared. So I'll be declaring my array here. So let us say that you want to have the array of 10 values is equal to new int of 10. You'll be defining it. So you're going to declare it. Okay. Then, so I want to, if let us say that I want to accept the data from the user, right? So we have seen yesterday, we have seen the scanner class. We are going to use it for accepting the data from the user. So I'll create the instance of my scanner class. Object I'm using called SC there, scanner. So we'll be passing system.in as the argument. So where in we said it is an object which is associated with the keyboard. Now we are telling the system that to read the data from system.in, that means from the keyboard. So scanner class will help me to read the data from my keyboard there. It reads it and then so it is going to return me. So what you want to read? So you want to read the integer value, you want to read the character value, you want to read the float value. What value you want to read, you need to specify there. So for example, I'm using my sysout, I'm using it. I want to enter a value. So enter a value I'm giving it. So let us say that you call it as a value, or you call it as a marks, or you call it as a roll number, or you call it employee number, something like that it is. Okay. So I want to read that one. So then what I need to do, I need to say A of 0 is equal to the SC object dot next int. I'll be using it. So when I say next int, what will happen? It will read the value into the A of 0 location, that is into my first location, it's going to read the value. Now you want to read the value in the second location. So then we'll be writing a of 1. So like this, all the values you want to read, instead of writing a of 1, a of 0, a of 1, 2, 3 like this, alternate what we can do is we can make use of the loops can be made use of. Okay. So where I'll just write some x variable is equal to 0, x less than, what is my length of the array? It is 10. So right now I'm writing it as manually, I'm writing x less than 10, x plus plus I'm writing it. Okay. So instead of giving 0 there, I'll place the value of x there. So we know that the x value will change from 0 to 9 there. 0 to 9 it changes. Then automatically internally what will happen? It becomes a of 0, a of 1, 2, 3, 4, like that it is going to get. Okay. So only for the demo purpose, what I do is instead of taking 10 values, I'll just cut it down to 4 values. I'll cut down. Okay. I'll just make it as 4 here. Right. I'm reading the 4 values there. Then I want to print onto the screen. So this loop we are going to use it for reading the values. Okay, then I'll write one more loop for printing the values. For printing the values, I'll write one more loop. I'll write. Okay, I'll write another loop for some same variable. I'll take x is equal to 0, x less than 4. Okay, x plus plus. I'm writing it. Now I want to print the values onto my screen. So then I'll call the sysout. Okay, then I'm just writing a of x. I'm writing a of x. I'm writing. So what will happen? It is going to print me the values. So let us see what is the execution for this. So I'll just run my program. So when I run my program, so it will ask me the first value, enter a value. I'm entering it. Second value, it will ask me third value, like this. Okay, it will read all the values from you, and then we are going to print the values there. Now here, I'm using the length 4 now. Let us say that I'm changing the length to 6 now. So when I'm changing the length to 6, what I have to do? I have to write, I need to make my changes again in my code. All what? 4 instead of 4, I need to make it as 6. No, I don't want to do that one. I want my compiler should automatically do it for me. Then what I do is I just say a dot length I'll use. So when I'm using a dot length, so whatever the length I'm defining it, it'll automatically take for me. Okay, it'll take the length automatically to take the length and it will execute the program for me. Now I made it 6, so I need not to make any changes in my code part. Okay. Now here, so instead of saying the enter a value like that, now I want to do, so enter 0 value, enter 1 value, 2 value, like that I want to print the messages. So what I do is, so I want to print the values. Okay, one by one I want to print the values. I'll just copy this. Okay, welcome to order is also there. Okay, that is also there in the end. Okay, fine. Okay, I'm using the length property to find out what is the length of it. Now, instead of printing enter a value, so I want to give the message enter 0 value, enter 1 value, 2 value, like that message I want to give. So what I can do, so here I'll use the double quotes plus the variable. We know that the variable value x is going to change for me 0, 1, 2, 3. So I'll use x value. I want to print it onto my screen. So what I'm doing is I'm writing it. So out the x variable, I'm printing it outside the double quotes there. So for that concatenate it, I'm using the plus operator to do concatenation part first. So let us see this. I'll just run my code. So now you see enter 0 value. Okay, enter 1 value. So now it will ask me like 5 values up to 5th location. It will read all the values. Now what I'm doing is I'm just printing the message there here in such a way that you'll see how many values you're going to enter. The X value is going to be printed on the screen. Now we have seen that instead of using this method, printf is a better method. Okay, so what you can do, I'll use printf. Now instead of using print, I'll use my printf values. So when I'm using printf, so here enter, I'll just say enter percentage D I'll put. Printf percentage D value I'm giving. And then outside the double quotes, I'm placing the value of X there. So where I have placed the percentage D, there it is going to replace the value of the variable X is going to be taken care of there. Okay. So X variable is going to be printed there. The value of X is going to be printed for me there. Now you see. So this is better to understand compared to the print ln or the print statement. Okay. Now, if you feel that you don't have the values like enter 0 value, it doesn't make a sense for me. So I want to have enter 1 value, enter 2 value, 3 value, 4 value like that. Then what I do is I'll use X instead of using X, I'll say X plus 1, I'll say. So when I say X plus 1, you see, it is going to print me enter 1 value. So what I'm doing, I'm just printing it as X plus 1, I'm using it. Okay. So when I'm using X plus 1, it's going to print me as enter 1 value, 2 value, 3 value like that. Instead of writing it as enter the 0 value, 1 value like that, what I've done, so I've made small change I've made to my code so that it prints me 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead of starting the counting from 1, 0 there, so we are starting with 1 there. So we are getting it. Understood? So this is how you can work with the simple arrays you can work with. So where assume that now you're going to work with the marks now. So assume this is going to be 6 marks for you. Instead of using a variable name called A, we'll use a variable called M there. So I feel that M is a name which is much better to understand as per the context. So I'll change it as M there. Now, if I want to use only for now, only for values you want to have it, then you can use any variable name can be used. So it's going to talk about only accepting the values for us. Right? Understood what I'm telling? Okay. Now, so when you talk about the coding part here, so let us say that you are writing a code for the marks now. So what you can do is I want to find out the sum of the marks I want to find out. So, okay, let us take now, let's make this itself, we are going to use it for reading the marks. Okay. So we are going to read the marks and then you want to calculate total and average I want to calculate. Right? Okay. As well, you want to have the result also. So you can also have the result also can be calculated. So result means simple result will calculate. So let us say that you want to have pass or fail you want to tell. So where I'm going to tell it as pass. So if it is going to be greater than 35 or equal to 35. So greater than or equal to 35, I want to say it as pass. It is going to be fail for me if the marks are going to be less than 35. I want to print it as fail there. Okay. How we are going to do it? Let's see that example. Now, so first you want to read the marks. I'll just change the variable name as per the context. Okay. Now I'll give a message to the user saying that enter the marks system.out.println. I'm writing type the student marks. Okay, I'm just giving a message, type the student marks. Okay, then you'll enter all the data. So I want to find out the total average I want to find out. See, there are two ways of doing this. Either you can write the total calculation within the loop itself, or you can write it outside the loop also. So I want to calculate the total inside the loop itself. So what you can do is you can say total is equal to total plus m of x you can write. So when I say total is equal to total plus m of x, it's going to add the total and then it is going to place into the same variable called TOT. Now I'm using the existing value and then I'm trying to add that. So that is going to give me an error. It is going to give me because We know that in our Java, we cannot have the variables without, we cannot use a variable without putting any value into that one. So if I want to have some value there, so what I do is I'll be writing int total is equal to 0. I'm writing it. So I'm putting the 0 value into it initially. Then inside the loop, what I'm doing, I'm writing total equal to total plus m of x. I'm writing. So what happens? The existing value of total will be added and then it's going to be placed. Either you write like this. So, or what you can do is, we can also write total TOT plus is equal to, I can write. Okay, I can write plus equal to m of x, I can write. Instead of writing total is equal to total plus m of x, you can write straight away, you can write it as total plus is equal to m of x, you can write. That is an alternate method. So the plus equal to operator you can make use of it. So we call it as a compound operator, you call it as, where it is going to do the two jobs for me. One is assigning as well as addition, both it is going to take care of that. Okay, so plus equal to I'm writing there. Okay, so either you can write this method or you can write this method. Any method that you want it, you can make use of it. Okay, when I'm going to add to the addition of total. Now I want to find out what we said. Total also we wanted. We wanted to have the average also. I want to have it. And then so I want to have the average. I'll take double variable. I'll take double average AVG. I've taken it. Okay, so initially I have not placed any value into it. Inside the loop, you're going to do the calculation of total. What's for the loop? What I'm doing, I'm going to calculate the average. So it is total by 3. I'm writing. Okay, I'm writing total by 3. I'm writing. So it's going to calculate the average for me. Now I want to print the total and average. So what I'm doing, I want to print the total and average. So I'm writing system.out.println. Okay, I'll use, instead of using println, I'll use printf. I'll make use of it. Okay, so printf total and average I want to print. So I want to say total is equal to %d, then average is equal to %f. I'll be writing it. And double quotes, comma tot variable, comma avg variable. I'm printing it. Okay. So if you want to have a new line character to be placed, total you want to have it in separate line, average you want to have it in separate line, you can use a \n can be made use of. Okay, so let's see what it's going to do for me. So instead of using now the array, we are using an array name called m. We have used it. We are not using the name called a there. So I need to change it as m.length. Okay, done. We have done all the changes necessary. And let's execute and check. So enter the marks in first subject now. Sixth subject. Now you see that it's going to print me all the subject values are going to be printed. Then it is going to find out the total. Then it's going to find out the average for us. So what is the mistake we did? We gave this total by 3 we are given. So I'll make it as 6. I'll make. Okay. Or if you don't want it, okay, you don't want to manually calculate 6 subjects or 4 subjects or 5 subjects. What we can do is we can also here also we can make use of m dot length can be made use of. We can use a length there. Okay. For example, let us say I'm changing now, instead of 6 subjects, now I want to change it as to 3 subjects. It itself will take care. So you need not to worry about you are writing 6 subjects or 4 subjects like that. You need not to worry about. So it will be automatically taking care for me. What I'm doing is, for the easy understanding of things, I'm giving the marks 10, 10, 10, 11. I'm giving it 10, 10, 10, and 11 means what happened? The total is going to be 31 for me. Total is going to be 31. So the average should be coming as 10 point something. It's supposed to come. Yes, we are getting 10 point something only. Is it correct? It is supposed to give me 10.33. It is supposed to give me, but what it has done, it has printed me 10.000. It has printed for me. Okay, so 000 I'm getting because I'm using it as a float data type. So I'm going to get the zeros. But here, what happened? I'm dividing 10 by the length there 3. So we got the total is 31. Then 31 by 3, it should be giving it as 10.33 something. But it is not giving me 10.33. Why it is so like that means because, see, in your Java, what happens is you divide an integer value by another integer. The result is going to be only an integer for me. Understand what I'm telling? So in my Java, what happens is when I divide an integer value by another integer, the result of this expression is going to be only integer for me. That means I'm dividing 31 by 3, I'm getting it. Then what will happen? The result of this expression is going to be 10.000 only it is. It is only, okay, it is only 10 for me. It is not 10.3. The other way, if I do it, for example, I'm writing integer by float value or double value. Okay, so I'm writing integer by double or float, or so you're going to have float by integer. I'm having it, whatever it is, right? Then, example, let us say we are going to have 31.0 by 3. Then the result of this one is going to be 10.3333 for me. Or I'm writing okay like this: 31 divided by 3 I have used, right? Instead of using 3, I'll use 3.0. I want to use it. Then my result is going to be 10.3333. It will be like this. 6 digits will be seeing it after the decimal point. Okay. Now here, what we are doing? So in our code, we are writing what? By length. Length is also integer value for me. Total is also integer value. So you're going to get integer. The result of the expression is only integer. No, I don't want that one to happen. I want to get the value in float. Then what I can do is I can make use of the typecasting can be used. So what I'm doing, I'm just writing the float there. Okay, or you can write it as double. So typecasting can be called in. So I want to do the typecasting there. So I'm converting the type there. So when I'm converting the type, so what will happen? So this logic will not be applicable for me there. So I'm writing the float convert, double conversion, I'm doing it. Now let us see what is the output you're going to get. I'll use the same values to check my results are as the expected. Fine, I got my results are as expected there. So 10.333, I'm getting it. You understood? So whenever in the expression, whenever the values are there, you should be very careful. So what is the result you wanted? Okay. So based upon the expression, what is the data types are there in the expression, the result is going to be different for me. So I have to make sure that I'm going to use only integer by integer, I'll get only integer. So if I'm having integer by float or integer by double, I'll get the answer in my double for us. Okay. Or you are having double by integer, you'll get the answer is a double like that. Okay. So understood what I'm telling here? So any questions over here? Any questions? So you are not able to understand. Anywhere you have any questions or doubts are there, you can let me know it, no problem. Okay. So integer by float, or we took float by integer. The result is going to be a float for me. Okay. So that is what we took it as 31 by 3.0 we are taking. The answer is going to be 10.3333 for us. Or you say 31.0 by 3, then it is going to be 10.333 like this. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm just using the source options. I'll just do the formatting of my code. Now I'll just copy the code. So because it's going to enhance the readability of my code, it's going to be enhancing it. Okay, done. Right? Okay, so we have another kind of loop you're going to have, what we call it as, we said 4 different types of loops, right? So for loop, for loop, do loop, while loop, and we have the for each loop we are going to have. Now we'll talk about the last one, what you call the for each. Okay. So what is this for each loop means? In the for each loop, what will happen? For each iteration, or what you call for each repetition, it will fetch one value from me from the collection. Okay. The for each loop, what will happen? It fetches, or what you call, it gets a value. It gets a value, okay, from the collection for each iteration. for each, you call it as iteration or you call it as repetition. Okay. For each repetition, we are going to call. What do you mean by this? We'll discuss this. Okay. So what is the syntax that I'm going to use for this one? The syntax is, so you'll be writing for data type, okay, colon collection. Then when you talk about the data type, I'll be writing the variable also. Okay, then I'll write the collection. Collection here means it is going to be either you call it as a collection or you call it as your array. Okay, array I'm going to talk about. Then you can write the, so looping statements, you can write whatever the statements you want, you can write that. We'll take one example, we'll see this. So what is that example? Now we'll use, now here what we did, we are printing for each iteration, it is going to print me one value. Now I don't want this iteration to be used. I want to use a for each loop. I want to use it. Then, so how we are going to use the for each loop? For x, integer x, I'm writing colon. So integer x colon. What is my collection name there? Array name is m. So I'll use m there. So m is the name of my array there. So array is what? It's a collection of values or it is a set of values. Now in this case, what will happen? For each iteration, that is for each repetition, it will get me the value of the variable. Okay, and the values, it will getting the data from the array and it will put that data into the x variable. Now that I want to print it. Now I need not to write m of x need not be written. I'll be writing it as only x. I'll be writing it. Okay, I'll just save this code now. So let us execute it and check. So what is going to happen for me? So it's going to ask me values, data, it will ask me. I printed it. Now you see that now when I'm using my for each loop, what will happen? So for each repetition or for each iteration, it is going to get me one value, it is going to get for me. Okay, from the collection. But the disadvantage of this for each loop is what? You cannot go in the reverse direction. You have to go only in the forward direction. You can fetch the values one after the another value only you can fetch, but you cannot fetch the values in the reverse direction. Okay. Or let us say I want to get the values randomly location from random locations. I want to get the values, so it's not possible for me. But whereas when I'm using a normal loop, you can fetch the values from wherever you want it. Okay, from the array. But whereas when I'm using my for each loop, we can get the values only in the forward direction. So you cannot get the values in the reverse direction or something like that. Okay. Yeah. You understood this loop there? How we are going to do it? So when I want to do the printing of the values, I want to do it. So I'm going to use my, so for each loop, I'm going to use it. Right? Understood? Okay. So any other questions are there? You can let me know. No problems. Otherwise, if you don't have any questions, we'll move forward. Now here we didn't find out the result part. We didn't find out. Okay. We didn't write the result coding. So what you can do, you can write the code as if it's greater than or equal to 35. So then I'm writing system.out.println. The result is pass. Okay. So otherwise, I want to print the result is fail. Okay, I'm writing that. Done it is. So let me execute my code. It'll ask me the values. Okay. Wantedly, I'm giving less number of values I'm giving it so that it's going to print me the result is going to be fail for me. Now here see average it is printing, but result is not printing in next line. So it is printing in the same line. So if you want to get it in the next line, what you can do? So after this, you can add one backslash one can be added. So when I add the backslash and there, it's going to move the cursor to the next line for me. So I'll enter the marks. Now we see that the average is going to 48. So it's going to give me the result as pass for me like this. Understood? Like this, you can write the coding. Okay. So based upon your requirement, so how the result has to be calculated. So how the result has to be calculated, you can define them. Okay. You can write the coding. So let us say you don't want to have it, you want to find out the first class, second class, you want to find out, then you need to write a series of if conditions you have to write. If a value is going to mean if your average is going to be greater than or equal to 60, first class. Else if it is greater than or equal to 50, it is second class. Else if it is greater than or equal to 35, it's third class. Else it is fail. Like that, you can write some series of conditions can also be written there. So if I want to have some series of conditions, okay, then we can write that one also. So if it is greater than or equal to 60, then it is first class. I'm writing. I'll just say FC there. Okay. So else if the average value is greater than or equal to 50, then I'm writing the result is second class. So SC I'm doing. Okay. Else if my average is greater than or equal to 35. So I want to write the result is TC. TC means as you wish. Else we say it as the result is fail. Right? So I'll run my code. So now, so average I got is 56. So it's going to give me as, sorry, the average is 44. It is above 35 and less than 50. So it's going to give me as TC there. Right? Once again, I'll run my code. So let me give the values. Now you see. So now my average is 72. So it's going to give me as FC. Okay. So like this. So you can write the coding can also be written. So based upon your requirement, you want to have a simple result, you want to have it, or you want to have the result, how the result has to be calculated, you can write the coding. Okay. Understood? Or let us say that we say what, here if you look into the output there, I'll make the student to fail in one subject. One subject I'll give 30. The other two subjects I'll give pass mark I'll give. So actually the student has got the fail mark he has got, but we said it is what? The result is second class we are saying. So that is wrong, right? And then, so if I want to do that method of calculation, I can also write that coding. So for that, what we do, we'll check the individually the student has got the pass mark in every subject or not. So that what you can do here. So you can say now, if I'm writing only for 3 subjects, if I'm there, what you can do is you can write here if m of 0 is greater than or equal to 35 and okay. Now if I'm writing, okay, sorry, and operator I'm writing, sorry, we are not supposed to use the English word and, we are supposed to use the symbol double ampersand only we have to use it. Then m of 1 is greater than or equal to 35 and m of 2 is greater than or equal to 35, I can write here. Okay, so if it is satisfying in all the subjects, then okay, I'll check the conditions here. I'll check the conditions. Okay, so it's not necessary for me to check it is greater than or equal to 35 because automatically it is going to be greater than 35 for all the subjects has got the 35. Now, so for this, I'll write the else part. Else it is fail, I'm writing it. Now let's see how the code is going to work for me. Let's see this. I'll just run my code. Okay, one subject I'll give 30, the other subjects I'll give, oh sorry, once again I'll run it. I'll run my code. So one subject I'm failing, the other 2 subjects I'm giving 90%. So what is my average? It is 70. But the student has got fail mark in one of the subject. So what will happen? Now here the result says it is fail for me. Understood? Okay. Now here, it is not advised for me to write 6 conditions there. I mean, here we are taken only for 3 subjects, so we are writing 3 subjects like this. No, it's not suggested for me to do right like this. So what I do is, I'll want to use my loop there. Then So if 10 subjects are there, it is very difficult for us to write that code. 10 or 20 subjects are there. Writing like this kind of code is not suggested for us. Then what is suggested? I'll just go through my loop there. Okay. So anyhow, I'm printing the values here on screen. So what I want to do is, so when I'm printing the values only, I want to find out he has got the total, all the subjects he has got a pass mark or not, I want to find out. So for that one, I'll take a variable, a Boolean variable I declare, okay, called flag. I will take some variable name, I'm writing it. Okay, I'm taking a variable called flag, right? Initially, I'll take the flag value is equal to true. So when I mean, what do you mean by true here is, I mean, he has got all the subjects, he has got a pass mark. That's what I mean, flag is equal to true there. Now, I'll check the condition now here in this one. If the X value is less than 35, it means what? One of the subject has got the 35 mark there. Then what I do, I'll just say flag is equal to false, right? I'm writing flag equal to false, I'm writing. Everyone understand what I'm doing? So before I enter into the loop, I'm taking the flag value as true. So once you enter into the loop, I found that if one of the subject is going to be less than 35, I'm writing flag is equal to false. Now here, instead of now checking all the subjects, already we found the flag value is there for me. So now I'll write if flag is equal to true. I'll check the condition. If flag is equal to true, and then subjects I'm checking. So then only you just do these conditions, right? So if one of the subject is going to be failed, now I'll just, okay, I'll take two subjects, 90s, and one I'll just fail it. Now you see, it is going to result is for fail it is. Now what I'm doing, I'm using a loop now. Inside, if this will work for me, let it be you are going to have 3 subjects or 10 subjects or 20 subjects, this will work for me. The earlier case, what I used to do, so I was checking manually 3 conditions I was writing. If it is 10 conditions, 10 subjects, 10 times you have to write. So instead of that one, so this is the better method of doing things. Okay, so like this, it's always better to use. Okay. Understood? Okay. So you just try to work out on these examples, right? I'll just try to share some more examples. Like for example, let us say you are having 10 employees are there. So 10 employees salary details are there for me in my array. So I want to find out the sum of all the arrays values, sum of the salary I want to find out. And I also want to find out the average salary of the employees I want to find out. So we can write a small code for that one. Understood? Okay, you just try to write it. So instead of using marks, you convert that one into salaries of the employees. Assume that you are storing it, 10 employee salaries you are storing it. I want to print the total salary, average salary I want to print. Okay. If possible, you try to find out, I want to find out what is the least salary and the max salary. Okay. Try to find out the least salary and the max salary. So I just write that one also here. So what is that? My assignment question for you is, so I want to read the employee salary. Okay, I want to read 10 employee salaries. I want to read the 10 employee salaries. Then, so you need to find out some average value. Okay, then you also find out the what is the max salary and what is the minimum salary also you find out. Just try to find out. We'll discuss that. How to do it, we'll discuss that. Okay. Yeah. Any questions? Okay. We have what you call double dimension arrays. What do you mean by double dimension array means? The array that we discuss is only it's called a single dimension array. So I have a double dimension. See, if you are going to compare this one to mathematics, so in mathematics we have a concept called matrix. Okay, in mathematics we have single dimension, a matrix of row or a column matrix we call it as, that is called a single dimension array. You have the matrix of 2 dimensions. Okay, then that is compared to a double dimension array. Like this, I can have the multiple dimensions of the arrays we can have it, which we can compare it to the matrices of your mathematics. Now, if I want to have the double dimension array, how I'm going to do it? Then it is the data type. Okay, then you'll use the double box bracket, you'll be using it. It's equal to new, it's equal to variable name, it's equal to new data type. So when I'm going to define the data type, I need to tell what is the length of my array. So 3 by 4 I'm taking. So this is going to be what? It's going to be rows. It is rows is going to be 3 for me, and columns is equal to 4 for me. Or you call it as a 3 by 4 matrix. So if you want to have the comparison with your mathematics, it's called a 3 by 4 matrix, you call it as, right? So based upon your requirement, what you want to store it. Like for example, by using single dimension array, we have stored the data for only one student marks we have stored. Now I want to store the marks of 10 students I want to store. For each student, I want to have 6 subjects. Then I'll be writing the matrix of 10 by 6, I'll be taking it. Okay. Understood now? So the above one, single dimension we took. So we took the single dimension for storing one student data. Okay. Now, so I'll have double dimension for storing multiple student details, right? Storing multiple students. Multiple students data I want to have it. So example, let us say that you want to store the data for 10 students you want to store. For each student, 6 subjects you want to have it then. So I want to have the integer type of data, marks object is equal to, either you can have the box bracket before or after, no problem there. It's equal to new, no int of for 10 students, and then for each student it is 6 subjects like this. You'll be defining the matrix 10 by 6 it is.
What is the length of the
Length of the matrix will be number of rows. So you have the rows, and for each row again the length will be different for me. Right? For each row it will be length will be different for me. Now when I talk about the initialization of this one, so I want to have the initialization. Yes, we can also do the initialization of the matrix. So for example, I'm taking M. M is equal to, open the flower brace, double flower brace will be using it, and then you'll do the initialization of this. So I'm doing the initialization. So the first row, second row, third row. So each row values have been placed into the flower braces. The whole set of values are going to be placed into the another flower brace for me, right? Like that. So this is going to be the data for the row number 0, and this is going to be for the row number 1, and this is for the row number 2. Totally my length of my array is going to be 3 rows, and then for each row it will be having 3 columns will be there for me, right? Like that. Okay. So if I want to read the data for a double dimensional array, so what we can do, we can make it up a nested loop can be used for reading the data into a double dimensional array. Now let us see. So we want to read the data for 3 students, and for each student 6 subjects I want to have it. So how I am going to write the code? Let's see that. Okay, first let us see the declaration part. So how I am going to do the declaration? So M double box, okay, it's equal to new int of, we said what, 3 students, and for each student it is 6 subjects I'm taking it. Okay, so here previous case what we did, this is only for 1 student it is. So now I want to repeat for 3 students, and for each student it is going to be 6 subjects. So what I do, I'll use a nested loop here. So I'll take a variable called r is equal to 0, where r value is less than or equal to, I'll take the length of my array. So m dot length, semicolon, m, sorry, r plus plus I'm taking. Okay. So when I'm going to read the values into my array, so you'll not be using that method. So we'll be using double dimension method you'll be using. So first you need to specify the row and then you have to specify the column. Now, okay. So what I will do is I'll give a message. Now instead of saying enter the marks of student, now what I do is I'll say, so enter the marks of, okay, student. Instead of saying student, now what I do is I'll say r student. I'll print the value of r now. So when I'm printing the value of r, what will happen? R value, we know that it's going to change from 0 onwards. So it is going to be 0. Enter the 1 student marks, 2 student marks, 3 student marks, like that. It will be printing it for me. Okay. So I don't want to use the printf. I don't want to use. I want to use only this println only. I want to use. Then I don't want to print 0 values. I want to print 1 there. So I'll be writing x r plus 1. I'm writing. So when I'm writing r plus 1, what will happen?
0, 1, 2.
So it's supposed to print me 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Sure? Sure, it print me 1, 2, 3, 4? Sure? Okay, let us discuss that. Now I'm reading it. Okay, everything I'm doing it. So here I want to do the calculations and everything. You want to do it. The same method we can use it. But you want to repeat for each student, it has to be repeated. So I'll say integer r is equal to 0. R is less than m dot length I'm taking it. So m, sorry, r plus plus I'm writing it. So whole things I'm doing it for each student. Now when I'm accessing it, so if I want to access the data for row wise, I want to access it, then what we do is instead of writing integer directly x, instead of writing m, now we'll be saying m of r will take. So when I say m of r, what will happen? It gets the data from the first row. M of 0, first row whole data will be placed for me. Then it is going to iterate through the row. The second row, third row, fourth row, like that. It is going to iterate. All the rows are going to be iterated for me. Okay. So now here it is what I cannot have directly. Row cannot be accessed. I need to have the row wise, column wise. I have to access them. Okay. Now here, so the total calculation I cannot do it here now. So because the total calculations are going to be different for different values for me. So what I do is I'll use the total calculation here. I'll put so total plus is equal to the x value I'm writing it. Okay. So before I enter into the loop, I'll say the total value is equal to 0. I'm writing it. Now here we are going to have the average value is there. So average value, I'll just calculate. Here I'm calculating it because I want it to be done for every student. I want to do it. So I'm writing it inside my loop. I'm going to take care of it. So let's format the code now. So formatting, it's going to give me the proper alignment and everything. It will take care of it. Okay. So I've done that. Now let's run and check what is going to happen. See, it is what it is doing. Enter, type the marks for 0, 1 student. Yes or no? So then 1, 1 student. Why it is? Any guess? Why it is going to print me like this? So why it is printing me what? R plus 1 I have given here. It is printing 0, 1. 0, 2, 0, 2, 1, 1 it is printing. Why? You have seen that, right, already? So I want to calculate this. I want to calculate the r plus 1 value has to be calculated, that I am putting into the parentheses there. Okay, let's run. Now you see, enter the marks, enter the first student data. Okay, second. Okay, why just type the fourth student? One second, let me check where is the error it is giving. exception index out of bound, where line number 20. Why I'll get the error there? Acha, okay. What is the problem? We said less than or equal to we are writing. So we are not supposed to write equal to there. It's only less than. Why? The index of the array starts with 0, but the maximum index is length minus 1. So you have to write only less than, you have to write, not greater than there. Sorry, equal to is not allowed for you to do it. Okay. You see that you will be getting all the data you're going to get it. Marks we are getting, but the results we are getting zeros. Why that zeros are coming? That zeros. We try changing whatever the possible methods are there. You just try it out and let me know. I'll help you. You try first, okay, to find out the max value, max salaries and the minimum salaries. Is that zeros are printing? Float, okay. So average value is greater than or equal to 60. Which wait. It's printing me the marks before that. Exit is printing, here it is fine. It's around there. We'll see this. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll